Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. First item on the work session, Chief Kiefer, Hagerstown Police Department recruiting video.
Good evening, everyone. So, as you guys have known, we've been working steadfastly on recruiting, retention and stuff since I've taken over. As you've noticed, we've had billboards around the city for hiring. We've done recruiting cards. We've sent our guys out to job fairs, all kinds of things. We've gone up to Pennsylvania to the Act 120 academies up there. And the other thing we looked at was how are we going to reach our target audience, which is our millennial constituents. So we looked at doing revamping our recruiting video, and I thought I would just play the video and then we could talk about the video after that.
Cut. That's it. That's a wrap. We are out of money. Someone else is going to have to take it from here, guys.
That's it? What are we supposed to do now? Who's going to make this recruiting video?
Hagerstown is a great place to live and work. We have that small town feel while still being close to the excitement of several large metropolitan areas. We have many diverse and family-friendly neighborhoods where you'll feel good about spending your time off. Hagerstown's got a lot to offer.
Are you going to film this whole thing by yourself?
No! I've got a crew. Here in Hagerstown, we value a thorough understanding of how our city functions and its unique needs. Every officer with the Hagerstown City Police Department is thoroughly trained and stays up to date on all current laws.
Is that even legal?
Only in New Zealand. Every day is different here at the Hagerstown Police Department. We work in an exciting and
Can you shut the hell up?
Every day is different here at the Hagerstown Police Department. We work in an exciting and high-reward field. Our department's all about long-term growth. We want to give you the tools you need to succeed right here in Hagerstown and go along with you every step of the way. We're looking for recruits that are in it for the long haul. Hagerstown cops get to live and work in a vibrant community. We are dedicated to keeping that community safe. What are you guys doing?
The lip sync challenge, man. We're going viral. Yeah.
No. Guys, this is a recruitment video. It's supposed to be timeless. These lip sync challenges, it's so 2018. This is not going to age well.
Whatever, man. Chief said we could.
Let them have fun.
Hey guys, am I too late for the video?
When I came through the front door.
When you join our team, you can be sure that someone's always got your back. The Hagerstown Police Department is comprised of an extraordinary group of men and women that want to protect and serve the community that they live in. As part of our family, we'll give you all the resources you need to succeed and be with you every step of the way.
Whoa. I told you could use my dog.
No.
Oh.
Our department gets to experience the excitement and culture of the larger city, while still maintaining the feel of a small, supportive community. That means we'll be there for the big stuff and make sure your kid gets home safe every night.
You want to go to Crumpy's?
Yeah!
This is Officer Molyneux with the Hagerstown Police Department. He's here to tell us about the great support system we have here.
What? I thought we were here for the donuts.
Do it for the sprinkles.
You want me to say something like how the Hagerstown Police Department is a great opportunity for both professional and personal growth? About how we are a large agency that expects and fosters excellence so that we can provide our officers with opportunities to grow in their career and take on new challenges? And how we provide comprehensive training for each new recruit so they're ready to handle any situation they may encounter. But also talk about our department being small enough to get to know each other on a personal level and support each other like family. Because we recognize the power of a unified force that protects and serves the larger community. No, I'm not going to do that.
As you can see, we like to have a little fun here at HPD. However, we take our calling to protect and serve very seriously. We're dedicated to the work, our profession, and providing the best quality service to our community. We have the best and brightest officers in the nation working here, and we're always looking for more to join us. If you're interested in a challenging and rewarding career in law enforcement, then join the force. Go online, check us out on our website, and apply.
So I'm sure you have some questions. So the impetus behind this was my HR director, Jeff Morgan, sent me a video about a year and a half ago. It's the New Zealand Police Department recruiting video. If you've never seen it, I strongly advise you to go do that. They took a humorous approach to their recruiting, and there's a couple shout outs to them and ours. The Ben, our auxiliary guy dancing in the square, is one of them. And if you didn't notice, when John Molyneux was eating the donuts, every time he ate a donut, it was a different donut. So you'll see in New Zealand's video, they have their officers running in the video, and every time they cross into a vehicle or around a corner, it's a new officer running. So we kind of just built that in just to pay homage to them a little bit for giving us that. But the reality of what we did was we wanted to take a different approach. The men and women we're trying to seek now are millennials. They're YouTube driven. They're looking for something that's unique and different. And this is like those commercials you see on TV, the Flex Seal commercials, where you remember them and you know what it's all about and you know what that product is. So this was to get us out there. And from our goal-setting meeting we had with you guys about a year ago, I looked at those, and Austin, you talked about bringing young professionals to the area and bringing them in. I think this will do that. Branding, positivity of the city and of our department, I think that does that. And so we took a chance. We took a chance on that. We bidded it out. High Rock did a great job with this. They did a fantastic job. We're very pleased. More than 90% of the department has seen it. I made sure that they saw it before anyone else did, and I didn't get anything. And for guys wearing the uniform to not say anything bad about it says a lot. They're very critical, but I could not have done any of this if it wasn't for Mike, who I came to, and he was the guy from the very beginning when I came up with this concept to kind of do this, and then John Molyneux at the end. They kind of made the video, but I wanted to bring Mike up to kind of talk to you guys about his part of what he thinks that this is about and what it'll do for us as well.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add. High Rock was great to work with. The chief came up with a lot of the ideas for this video, but just like he said, if nothing else, we want this to be a catchy video that people remember, people see, and maybe we'll get some police officers out of it because we're hurting for cops. And if nothing else, it's a great community relations.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now we want to see you do the get up challenge.
I think Officer Oates nailed that one.
How are you going to get this out now? Is it going to be primarily YouTube based, or is it going to show it at Leitersburg Cinema? Or?
It's going up on YouTube right after the council meeting tonight, and it's going to hit our Facebook page. It'll be a connection to Instagram that'll carry it over. We're also going to get it on the TV channel that we have here. Getting it at the cinema, that's a 30-second spot out there. There's no way to really pare it down to make it work out there. We're encouraged. We think that, in light of what policing is today and what bad rap we kind of get, as a profession, we wanted to show the human side of us a little bit and basically don't take ourselves so seriously. We do take the profession very seriously. We do take the job seriously. And the messaging that Mike says throughout the whole video is spot on, serious. It's the stuff going on around him that's that. So, the premise was, Mike was tasked with doing the video, and as you see, some things don't quite work so well and things like that. So that was the premise behind the whole thing. But High Rock was fantastic. In the beginning, I even surprised some of our guys when we showed it. They didn't see that little twist coming. They thought it was like a Call of Duty video in the beginning. SRT guys, they really like it because it makes them look really good. So I wanted to kind of, surprise you guys with it a little bit. Debut it here before it goes out, so.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Chief, Maryland Criminal Intelligence Network Coordinator position discussion.
Yes, so when Ashley Roush took on another job with the Census Bureau and we moved to a part-time position, I moved Bill Dallas, who was a part-time already, into that position. He couldn't work full-time, so we just downgraded it to a part-time position. Bill has since left. His wife and kids are in Delaware, so he needed to be with them. So he just recently retired from the department and went out to Delaware. So we're at the position of reposting it now. We would like to bring it back to a full-time position. It's a grant-funded position that we've already got approval for, and the grant's already in place. It's a growing. We're only one of select cities in 13 select cities in the state that are part of this MSEN coordination. And so we wanted to get it posted back out, but attracting the proper people to run it really would be back in full-time. So all it does is it changes our count from a part-time positions to a full-time position. Everything's in that position is grant funded. So I just need approval from the council to be able to do that.
You got it.
Yep.
Okay. All right, thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Building and trade code exemption discussion.
Well, Blaine and I are here, but I think that you all may have questions for us, so let us know what we can help you with.
I think for me, when we're talking about the art faults, I go back to our current housing stock, which is very old houses, and with the knob and tube and all of the, the way that things were done, that putting the art fault even on the one circuit would be very costly for the homeowner. I know that it is the new code, that the code for new construction, that it needs to be, but for our old housing stock, it just seems like it's a little bit overkill to have the art faults on the circuit. So I just wanted to get some feedback on that, the fact that it is going to be quite costly, and it also, in my opinion, because we're adding a permit to it, I think that we may end up doing the reverse, where people are going to think, I'm just not gonna pull a permit at all when they're adding these outlets. So that's my concern, is the cost for the homeowner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you researched the cost of what that would be?
Yeah, I do know how much,
Okay.
yes.
So the estimated cost is about $400 to $500 for a 2,000 square foot home is what the added cost would be to take a existing home to that level. So when you talk about arc faults are designed to prevent or arcs from occurring which initiate a fire. So when you look at the total replacement of a home and the cost of a total replacement of a home versus the cost of adding arc faults, I would have to say that that's a very cost-saving measure to do arc fault protection inside of a home.
Is it mandated in the building code for current construction?
Yes.
For new construction, right.
I mean, no, for current existing stock, if somebody wants to replace an outlet.
It was adopted, it was put in the code in 2014. It's the current code that we have right now.
And there's no exemption for it in the code?
Correct.
And when you say $400 to $500 for a 2,000 square foot home, are you talking about all the knob and tube, all the things that go into that, or just the actual arc fault itself, that cost, plus the permitting? Are you including like all the staples and the things that?
Well, you wouldn't be replacing staples and everything of
I
that
know.
nature if you were doing, just because you're either looking at the device itself or the breaker is what you're looking at. You're not looking at replacing and rewiring an existing home all the way. These devices are designed to go into existing wiring conditions so that you're not requiring a complete rewire of a home.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, we already do this now. The question, what was being changed is that the picker committee wanted it exempt from a permit. You guys don't want it exempt from a permit, the city standpoint, is that correct?
Wasn't so much exempt from a permit, it's exempt from requiring it.
So at what point is it required though?
It is required in all new construction now, and if you decide to take an outlet and change the collar of an outlet, that is considered modifying the existing equipment. The code states you have to arc fault protect that area then that you now have affected the existing equipment.
Which is gonna cost you $400 to $500 for 2,000 square foot to change the color.
And that is if the circuit is the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
I mean, again, my house is not like that. In my house, the living room and the upstairs bedroom are on one circuit, but the wall in the living room, or the living room going to the dining room, is on a different circuit, but it's in the same room. So, you know, when you get to a house of my age, you know, it's not as simple as just putting it on a circuit.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that the housing stock is, we just have such old.
And the National Inspectors Association for Home Inspectors recommends homes older than 20 years old to have arc fault protection. The executive director has put that out there, that they want arc fault protection in homes older than 20 years. They advise their home inspectors to inform their clients to install these devices in their homes. So that is the purpose of these types of devices, is to try to prevent fires. That's the thing that we're really talking about here, is a device that prevents a fire. If we're looking at exempting these things, and as Councilmember Metzner has mentioned, we have electrical fires in this town, and these are devices to help prevent electrical fires.
Well, and I agree. I think that, you know, we all want to be safe. I think that, you know, that's obvious. You know, we tried to put as many measures as possible, but I think that it kind of is a little bit overkill in government getting into, you know, all the permitting. I just think that, that's just my opinion. I think that it's expensive for the homeowner. I know what it costs, and it just seems like it would be, for me, just a little overkill. So that's where I'm at.
I view it as, we want people to want to move here. And I talk to people every day that tell me they can't wait to move out of here because we're too restrictive. I mean, is it, are we doing this nationwide?
Yes, there are 48 states that require arc fault protection.
If I live in the county.
Yes.
And I want to change my outlet from ivory to white, I have to do this in Washington County.
Yes.
Or Prince George's County or Montgomery County.
But you don't have to pull a permit.
No, you have to pull a permit for work that you're doing. If you're adding arc fault protection into your home, you need to pull a permit for that.
But the housing stock it's easier to be done.
It's newer housing stock.
Because it's newer housing, right. We just have I mean, we talk about it all the time, the development of our buildings and our old homes. I mean, how difficult that could be, and how expensive it is for a developer or for.
What are the two states that don't require?
Indiana and Michigan.
Hagerstown, Indiana doesn't require it.
They do not. And Michigan does not require it in 1 and 2 family, but they require it in apartments and condos.
You know, I can't help but think that, you know, the reasoning that a 3-pronged outlet was changed to put the 1 prong on top and the 2 below it, as opposed to the way it used to be, was because, though this is rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, but because a hanger could hit both prongs in the old way and cause a problem. Is that true? Did you ever hear
I would
that?
defer to Blaine on
Well,
that interpretation.
there's all kinds of different scenarios. What I'd like to do is we have a representative from our code review group here, Danny Sterling, who's a local licensed electrician. I'd like to have him come up and offer his thoughts on arc fault receptacles, if I could. You okay with that?
Yes.
Dan, you want to go a second, please?
Sure.
Thank you. My thoughts. Like since the 2011 code, anything that was done, new wiring required permits, even if you rewired a house, because that was considered new work. At that point in time, arc fault protection was in place. I don't think it's necessary if you're repairing. If you're doing new wiring, say like I come to your house and add 5 outlets, that's permit required. That would have to be arc fault protected. But as far as going back to an old existing structure and trying to make it work, sometimes it won't. So, you know, I don't say, I think it should be kept as only new construction, anything new permittable, you know, more than 6 foot of wire, that type of thing. That's pretty much been the standard for the last 10, 12 years.
So replacing one for another without adding new wiring.
They do make an outlet for it. I really can't see the benefit of it. I mean, it's time proven that you had this outlet here for however many years it is. If it's not creating a problem or anything, it shouldn't be necessary. And a lot of people will just change like for like anyway. So.
I think that's kind of what we were, that's where we were, where I was at least mentally, was if it's a like for like change out, in other words, I want to go from ivory to white.
Weren't you just changing the faceplate of you done?
No, it's the actual plug. The plug itself has a color.
Ivory.
I understand now.
Yeah.
But if you were to change every outlet in your house to an arc fault protected outlet, you would have thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars, yeah. I mean, and if I change one outlet, my understanding is everything on that circuit now is arc fault protected.
Depending on how your house is
How it's
wired.
wired, but I mean, if in that circuit, if it's all within one room.
Right.
Yeah, I can't see the logic of forcing people to go this route.
Well, it's a cost-effective thing too. It's like, you know, nobody's going to want to spend an extra $800 to, whereas if you had a permitted job that was being inspected, has to be brought up to new codes, you don't have a choice.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's like you're
different
saying,
scenario.
that's rewiring a house.
Right,
You're
yeah.
going from post to knob to real wiring.
Yeah, and some knob and tube stuff won't handle arc fault,
Yeah.
so it won't work,
Yeah.
so.
But at that point, then
So feasibility is not there.
You're invested in materials anyway, you're gonna.
Would you repeat what you just said about two-prong, not?
Some arc faults will not operate on knob and tube wiring. So, you're kind of, they won't reset, depending on how the house is wired, how it was wired 100 years ago, which is,
Not like it used to
it's
be.
just crazy. But, you'll have like nuisance trips and things like that, or they just won't work at all. Not saying that that's every one of them, some of them will work, but there's a percentage that won't. So you're not really doing anything by, trying to install it.
So you would even recommend that changing like for like out wouldn't require a
A
permit?
lot of people don't. It's a rarity. I don't think I've ever exchanged, arc fault for something else in, an old installation. It's usually,
Like for like?
Like for like, yeah, in an existing structure.
That's where I am, like for like.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
That's where we all, I think that we've been in agreement for the whole
Yeah.
time with that like for like thing.
Yeah.
And that's pretty standard, it's common. I mean, Montgomery County, Frederick County, they all have the same, pretty much, it's like everybody else, it's all based on national code, so.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
you do a lot of work in Frederick County and Washington County,
Mostly
correct?
Washington County, mostly City of Hagerstown, so,
Okay.
yeah.
But what, from your perspective as a professional in that field, what makes us more restrictive? Is this one of those things?
It could be one of those things, yeah. So, but depending on the jurisdiction, the inspector, Frederick City's horrible to work in. So, but,
Can you repeat that?
Right over there at the press.
Yeah. Can you play that on loop? Sorry.
I'll tell you, my experience is if you talk to
If you're an
most
elephant
anybody, they're gonna tell you every jurisdiction they work in is horrible.
Sure.
I've had somebody tell me the county is the worst place in the world to work with. It's.
I was just excited to hear that,
because.
'cause-
That's all about
Montgomery
Washington
County's
County.
good. Oh, Washington County's good too, yeah. I mean, those guys are all right. They've gotten better. So they had their time, but, so, Washington County's like coming up to
Good.
being kinder and gentler than they used to be.
But this
But it
could
would be
more
one of those
restrictive.
things that would be restrictive.
Yes. I think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know, it's like in any of the property managers that I work for, if you were to go in and say, we have to do this like that, they would
Oh.
be just like,
Live it.
yeah, so. you
Which
know.
is the feedback that we're getting too.
Right.
Well, I'm thinking about it from my perspective, my neighbor's perspective also, in single-family homes or duplexes. It just, you know, that's the kind of thing. I would rather see someone call a professional to change out an outlet than just decide they're gonna do it themselves because they don't wanna have to go through the permitting process and then screw it up and cause a fire that way. I mean.
Yeah, with having somebody unskilled do the work, you know, that sets up a whole new
a whole
liability
new line
issue.
I would rather have the professional come in, but if I know I'm gonna have to get totally involved in the permitting process to call you, I'm not gonna call you.
Right.
Okay?
And yeah, a lot of them will get swept under the rug, so I mean,
Right.
even with, I mean, code compliance does a really good job, but they can't catch everything. And, you know, it might just be one of those, for instance, where they don't, you know, they miss it. So, I mean, they're very thorough, but you're human. You're gonna miss something somewhere.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
So then, after hearing from Mr. Sterling, you all, or I guess, are on the like-for-like swapping out receptacles for different colors. You want to exempt that from the arc fault requirement because the code specifically does say that. But if you're extending the circuit or you're adding new outlets, then you're going to have to arc fault protect those. And then that would mean that in that room then, that if you had like 5 outlets in that room and they wanted to add another 2, then that means that whole room would then be protected. It would have to meet that then, because you're extending that circuit for that room.
But only one of those outlets would have to be an arc fault.
As long as
Or-
Mr. Sterling mentioned, it would be
Yeah.
however that need to be done for
Or do it
that.
at the circuit breaker down in the basement.
Okay.
Yeah, for that
And that
circuit.
doesn't protect anything before, right? Like anything, like the old wire, anything, just all the new stuff, correct? Going for all the things on the up, is that right?
Whatever's on that circuit.
Whatever's
Right,
on the circuit.
just making sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions about the rest of the stuff that was in that policy and stuff there? So just as a reminder, I know we didn't talk about it the last time, but the purpose behind the policy is because the code's not going to go into effect until January 1, but we wanted to get these exemptions in place as quick as possible. So next week, we'll bring the policy in front of you for adoptions to be in effect till January 1, and then also be the introduction of the code itself, but going through the whole entire steps as we go through for the introduction
Well,
of the new
going
ordinance.
back to what we discussed last time, where my thought of where we left it was, whether it be a kitchen sink, a faucet, a toilet, whatever, a like-for-like swap is okay without a permit.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, that's the way we wrote it. Yep, it was pretty much exactly what was discussed.
Great.
2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Okay? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Kitty, the Imagine Hagerstown report.
These are just photos. It'll be on the screen for you to.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. How's everyone?
Good.
Good. So as you know, I'm here to just provide a summary report on the Imagine Hagerstown event that took place in June. As you know, it took place over 4 weekends and was intended to serve as the transition year between Blues Fest and 2020, when Maryland Theater and BISFA construction will be complete. We hope. No, it will be complete. The event offered both successes as well as learning opportunities. Just a few stats to start. As you know, it was 4 weekends. We presented 39 artists or artistic groups. Attendance was estimated to be approximately 2,500 people. We had the weather gods working with us, only 1 rain delay the very last day of the event. And the event cost net expense of $68,729. The genres represented included music, dance, magic, circus arts, and visual art. Diversity was a hallmark of the event, with artists representing a range of cultural expression from American pop to Latin classics, Afrobeat to jazz, Middle Eastern belly dance to New York hip hop, from retro style photography to interactive expressive painting. Staff and volunteer community members developed the 2019 Imagine Hagerstown based on information that we called last summer from several brainstorming sessions. Some of the highlights of those brainstormed ideas included a multi-arts event, an event that took place at multiple locations, using music as a hook, but also including other art forms, reaching out to different members of the community, making a walkable and/or traveling event, an event that was free or low cost, and an event that presented local and non-local artists both. So the event achieved all of those bullet points. Other successes included fantastic turnout for the Reagan years on June 21st at University Plaza, excellent technical services provided by DSL Sound, the Maryland Theater partnering with us to sell beer and wine and realizing a net profit, people discovering the cultural trail for the first time, and several what I would call small victories, senior women learning to belly dance, a man coming down from his apartment to learn to salsa dance, a man painting for the first time on the interactive painting board. And so I just thought I would just review a few of these photos just to sort of highlight some of that. So here's the belly dancer teaching the senior women behind her. This is Generally a Soul, the Afro-pop band that played on the cultural trail the first Saturday. That's Peter from Fresh Academics doing a dance demonstration at University Plaza. Mark Lohr from the Lohr Family Follies on his stilts. This was the night of the Best of the Hub City. That's the Derailers playing at University Plaza. I apologize for the iPhone quality of my photographs. These are not all from Eric. That's Amber Marie. She opened for the Reagan years. There's a couple dancing on June 14th to the Muddy Crows. There's a good shot. That's not in the packet because Eric swapped it out when he saw how poor my photo was. That's the Reagan years night at University Plaza. That, the man in the red cap is the one who had never painted before, and he was painting something like Children First, Peace on Earth. That is one of the contemporary dancers from the Wilson College MFA program dancing at Rise. And that's Michael Delala down the cultural trail, a classical guitar player from Colorado. And Karenza Gray, after the rain passed, singing at the cultural trail to finish up the event. Some of the realizations which can lead to improving the event in the future include determining why attendance was light in this first year. You know, was it a schedule conflict with so many other events happening in June? Do we just need more time to build awareness of the event? Was it the type and amount of advertising? Another lesson learned, developing a call to action in all promotions, including social media. We had lots of social media likes, which don't necessarily lead to turnout, actual physical turnout. Reassessing the diversity of the art and the music being presented to determine what is most likely to get foot traffic downtown, assuming that that's actually a primary goal of the event. There were some issues with the cultural trail. There was a lack of shade. There were a few comments that it didn't yet connect to Washington Street, and that kept people from really understanding how to get there, or how to get out of there, or how to find it. Questions about the sustainability of staff working consecutive weekends. Determining what acts will promise enough attendance to secure food and beverage vendors, you know, actually getting them to show up and make a profit. Figuring out how to get younger people to attend, so much like Chief Kiefer was saying about how do you reach those millennials. And just realizing that, that it takes more time to build bridges to different communities and groups of people. So after meeting with city staff in July, as well as the community volunteers who advised on the event, we're offering 3 options to you today on how to evolve this programming in 2020. And we seek direction because a year goes by really fast, and now we're down to 11 months if we're going to do this again next June. So option 1 is once a month over 4 months. It'd be a music-only event taking place at University Plaza. It would be an opening act, probably a local act, sort of like Amber Marie, followed by a band that comes with a following, sort of a known band, so like the Reagan years. This would take place over 3 to 4 Friday nights over a 4-month period, June through September. Pros, with just 3 to 4 events, we have more money to pay bands what they will want, like a name band. Definitely easier to staff. The popular bands come with their own following, their own Facebook following, et cetera. Relatively easy to market. It's a really concise thing to market. Our potential audience looking at Hagerstown may be impressed that the city is actually paying for those name bands. The cons are that once a month may have more limited traction. If a person misses 1 month, then it'll be 2 months before something comes around. So it's hard to sort of build on momentum. Presenting only known popular cover bands may limit sort of that forward-looking progressive experience that some people indicated they wanted when we brainstormed last year. Option 2 is similar to option 1, just doubling the amount of music we would present. So music twice a month over a 4-month period. Again, taking place only at University Plaza. Again, taking place in that 4-month period between June and September. The pros are similar to above. Popular bands come with their own following. Relatively easy to staff, a little bit more challenging than the first option, but less challenging than what we just went through. Twice a month will build more traction, so if you miss 1 week, you're not that far off from the next one. And also relatively easy to market because it's a concise thing. The cons, similar to above, presenting only known popular bands, may limit that forward-looking focus. And the funds to pay those name bands will be stretched further. So, it might not get 8 versions of the Reagan years. It might get 4 versions of the Reagan years and 4 versions of something, the next tier down. Option 3 is taking option A or 1 or 2, A or B, which would be music once or twice a month over 4 months, and then adding in 1 additional arts showcase day. Something similar, like a themed thing, like a Renaissance fair kind of event that could take place at the plaza, on the cultural trail, in one of the new Maryland Theater venues. The pros are that that allows for more diversity of art genres, allows it to be a little more family-focused and oriented. The cons are that having this sort of outlier event makes it more challenging to market, for sure. So I would welcome your comments and your ideas.
So I personally think option 2, twice a month, but why not 3 months, since there's already a ton of stuff that goes on in September around Hagerstown, like the block parties and Porch Fest and all that. Then we'd have more money to pay bigger bands, but I also think we should incorporate that Friday night with art as well. I don't think we need an additional art day. I don't think unfortunately, we're not at a point as a city that it draws that amount of attention yet. But if we could do a Friday night and incorporate the cultural trail into downtown, into University Plaza, and have a belly dancing class at 5:30, a paint your own painting community board here at 6, this here at 7, have food trucks and everything all around, and then have Staff Infection, have Reagan Years, have Blindside, who are, bigger name bands that do what happened when the Reagan Years played there, because that night was incredible, and that's what we need. But we can still incorporate different types of art, which is, we are an arts and entertainment district. I don't think you make it music only at all. I just think it all has to happen at the same time, and there has to be food available, there has to be water available, there has to be, all of it in one area.
So, the question I have is, why are we doing this? And I don't say that critically. And one of the questions I have, if the best attendance was the Reagan Years, how did that, and we're bringing food trucks in, right? How did that affect their downtown businesses, positively or negatively?
I understand negatively, actually.
Well, that's what I would
That's the feedback that I
assume.
received, because people were going to, they see it as a competition.
And when did the Reagan Years play, for instance? What hours were we dealing with?
They played 7 to 9.
Okay. Now, see, when I hear that, I think of the Blues Fest, all-day event on Saturday, all evening on Friday. We're doing events, bringing people downtown in the evening, even well after dinner hour. I'm not sure that we're effectively helping downtown, especially when we talk about bringing food vendors in downtown. I mean, the idea is to get the food vendors business, which takes it away from our downtown restaurants. Now, the reason I bring it up is not to say that we shouldn't do this, okay? My question is venue. One of the most successful things that ever happened in this city for years, and it finally, burned itself out. But for those old people here, remember the Park Arts Festival. City Park, is a perfect venue if what we're trying to do is to provide entertainment for our citizens and bring people into the community. And when the cultural trail gets completed, it will connect everything. And that's my only point, is I want us to discuss why we are doing it. And again, if it's for entertainment value, is that the proper venue? And when I think of that venue, if a couple hundred people is a really good crowd, is that really helping us either? Are we better off going back to the thought process, if you're gonna spend this kind of money, you want to get a real name band on one weekend and bring in a large crowd. If you think of $69,000 right now, and you think of 2,500 people. You can get 2,500 people in the Maryland Theater and a New York Second for a group that costs a heck of a lot less than $60-some thousand. So if you're looking to bring people down, if you're looking for quantity of people, then I would say you're looking at one major event like Blues Fest with a draw. If you're looking at, I can see a lot of different things, but I think we need to define what it is this is all about and what we're trying to do. Are we trying to get foot traffic downtown? And if so, I would assert that 7 to 9 p.m. is not the time to do it if you're looking to help out local businesses.
Unless we didn't have food trucks at that point.
Right, but still, it's 7 to 9 p.m. is a little late, and I also would note, that big, good crowd was simultaneous with National Championship Bike Race, or was it,
Same weekend.
Yeah, so that's my only thought. I just see that amount of money, and I see, the kind of groups you could get for that kind of money, or group and fill City Park up, overflowing. But that's just a thought process.
Also to spur the business downtown, which is the ultimate objective of all this, what can we do to bring people in from outside? And it's great entertainment value for me. I can walk to it, but how about the person that lives in Frederick? How do we get them to come here? The people in Chambersburg to come to it? What can we do to?
And it seems to me the answer to that is a big band, a big draw. You aren't going to get Chambersburg, Frederick, and Annapolis to come see the Reagan-Years, but you're going to get them to see Joe Bonamassa.
Who? I believe you.
I don't think that it should be Friday, if that's what you're going for. I think that provides some difficulty for bringing in people to try and sort of, organize the desire to, for that destination. On a Friday evening, I just think that if the trail is sort of the place, and I guess for me, like at the end of the day, I envision it, where there is that connectivity to Washington, where there is a splash pad, and where you do incorporate the University Plaza into that, as sort of, the area, and you do it on a Saturday with a bit more hours involved that allows folks the opportunity to stay a little longer. And I just think a Friday evening doesn't create that desire to just stay for the duration that you're looking to get folks to do, to participate in. I just see it as once a month, on a Saturday. I just think there's enough stuff going on in the 3 to 4 weekends, of each of those months. You could, maneuver around them to give yourself 4 good Saturdays where people stay more than an hour or two.
I do think that, first of all, what I want to say, Kitty, is I think that you worked really hard. And I mean, I knew about it, and I think that, you know, for me, because I am connected to the city, I was able to see things on Instagram and Facebook and the social media. So I know it was a really long month. So thank you, really. I do think, though, that we are looking for millennials to come downtown. I don't think it is Saturday all day. I think that we have to kind of program it so we're hitting different generations at different points in time. A lot of municipalities around us and all over the country have, you know, a First Friday or, you know, a something. So I know 7 to 9 to me sounds like really late. I'm in bed, but, you know, my kids, they want something to do. You know, they want to be downtown and they want to be, you know, going to Salsa Mama and to the art, you know, while all of us are home in bed because we've already had our time. So I think that whatever we design needs to be you know, I think that we just need to figure out each different generation to attract each different generation. Whether
I
that's
think a good start time is somewhere like between 12 and 2 on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And it goes to about 8 o'clock. And it incorporates, you know, those venue-oriented activities in a couple of different places. And I think that it will be dynamically different, you know, once, yeah, but I just think that we envision it right now based on the confinements of, you know, what the trail is and not what it's going to be, you know, 6 months from now, you know, with that interconnectivity. And, I mean, a good example for us is, you know, we came down here Friday night, you know, and ate at Bulls, and then, you know, my kid's like, oh, we're going downtown, it's my favorite place in the world, which I never said as a kid. And, but, you know, they wanted to go over, so we got ice cream at Pretzel Pizza, but then they wanted to go down the trail, and so, you know, I had to sort of figure a way to get back to it. Right. But I had to figure that way right now because I'm familiar with it, you know, or familiar enough to do that. I think that that dynamic will be way different once you make that connection.
Can I ask you, you know, I know what our timetable is for the theater, I think for barbering room, but I'm not aware for sure what the timetable is for the completion of the trail. Is that
through to Washington?
Yeah.
And that to me, I'll tell you, just as a person
when
with kids that would, you know, would want to participate, and yourself, you know, that to me is fairly important because I had to choose between whether we go over to University Park and let them run around or go down.
Right.
Because an evening, you know what I mean? Once you start that process at 6 in the evening, you've compressed that time frame. If I knew that connectivity was there, and I knew that there was a splash pad, so, and I'm just using this for myself, you know, at sort of that southern edge, if you will, and that there was, you know, activity at the University Plaza, I wouldn't have any problem spending more than the 2 hours, you know, as long as there were options along that sort of, you know, corridor
Do
venue.
we expect that to be done by next?
Rodney's working through some issues with connectivity from Antietam through to Washington Street with the state and with some other players. As soon as those are in active discussions now, as soon as we can figure out those issues, we'll have a better idea as to the time frame.
Okay.
I can tell you flatly, I mean, every time we go, probably once a month, we go through the Hager Row and then cut through that hallway, whatever that hallway is next to Professional
Yeah, but
Arts
you
Building.
do have to know how to do that,
Pop
yeah,
out.
right?
But
It's not an easy connection.
because you know that.
So I was just in San Antonio, and I happened to be there during their first Friday event. Now, of course, they're a huge city compared to ours. But they had an area that would, I would say, in size, equate to like our cultural trail area. And you would walk by a 3-piece band playing jazz, and then they had vendors with homemade items and stuff set up. They had areas where you could have alcohol. They had a big band at one area that was kind of further away so they could play loudly and you could still enjoy it. Their arts council was open. They had people painting on the street. And I think in my mind, I was walking around going, this is what we were trying to do. And if people would have came out we would have accomplished. And it was just, I don't know, that environment of having different, you know, I could walk 3 blocks this way and hear a guitar band, and then walk 5 blocks the other way and hear jazz. Then it kind of hit all levels, and there were people from age 18 all the way up to, I'd say, 80 out there doing different things. And I think that's important for our community if we want to be an arts and entertainment district, to feed that. And I didn't get to say this before I had to go get my daughter, but I did go to Pizza Pretzel and the Art while Reagan Years were playing, before and after, and they were packed. Both places were packed. So I didn't hear that it negatively affected the business. At least I didn't see that, because when I was in both places, they were both packed with all those people.
And maybe not necessarily that night, but I think that I've heard that in general, like if we would have food trucks or how much it takes away from them. But I think that's any restaurant that might say that too, so, you know. It's just a challenge to balance a food truck and restaurants.
Well, it is, and the beer distributor doesn't really like to sell beer if there's not food readily
sure.
available. Like, so that's kind of.
But can we include the downtown restaurants? Like, I know Pizza Pretzel has a mobile thing that they do. Like, can we?
Yeah, they come in.
Invite, you know.
28 South can do something.
Well, I think everybody's looking for direction. I think, I agree with Kristen that we're better off doing it, extending it more on Saturdays and not on Fridays.
Yeah, and that's my preference.
And I also agree totally with staff that we should extend it over the months instead of June. Unfortunately, is just a heck of a month. To so many things going on everywhere. To do it every weekend in June, and also I can imagine it's burning staff out.
I also think if we're gonna do that on a Saturday, we should start later in the day and go later in the night. I think 8 is too early. I also think starting at 2 in the afternoon, it's 98 degrees and hot. I mean, being on the cultural trail, eating lunch at 1 in the afternoon at Imagine Hagerstown, I mean, I was like sweating buckets. Layla was hiding under.
4 to 9 or 4 to 10?
Yeah, I just think, because the temperature alone, it's so stinking hot.
And on the cultural trail, it's little
there's
relief.
no shade.
Yeah.
You know, so I think starting a little later in the day would be.
Which is what they're doing for the North-South game this year. Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock.
I heard
Labor Day
that.
weekend.
That'd be cool.
But we won't by next year.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just think that final band, if we're gonna end with staph infection, we don't want them to play 6 to 8. I mean, that's.
No,
I
you know.
I
That's what I said, something like 2 to 8. But again, it depends on the amenities that are there. You know, if you're at University Plaza, you know, you're fairly well shaded. You can be there for a certain time if you're toward Park Circle. But, you know, you're right, if you're in the middle in Harold Mills parking lot, I mean, it's, you know, it's like sitting on the sun.
Venue? I'm not clear on the venue that you guys are thinking.
I think you're mainly talking, at least for the bands at University Plaza, aren't you? Is that what your thought process is?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the artist, so I don't know. I feel like that's part of the question we're being asked, and you know, I don't feel like I'm the right person to be asked about what. Good example is the ice rink. I used to be on that board a long time ago, and you know, different types would bring in different levels of people. And if your objective is the most people, then I think you need to ask the art folks what they feel will be the best draw and where they feel they'll best draw them. I just don't feel like I'm the person to answer that.
Is easy because the parking is right there, and we want people in downtown, so it accomplishes those things. It takes away the argument that I don't know where to park, I don't.
Then I think an objective of ours has to be to make that connection.
Yeah, if you don't have the connection, then you cut out the rest of downtown.
But is that stage conducive
Wait, the connection
for
to
a
what?
bigger
You're talking
band?
about connection between University Plaza and downtown?
No, the trail, that cultural
I didn't,
trail.
you're still saying you want stuff on the cultural trail? I haven't actually heard
Yes.
that definitively. even though what we heard and experienced this year was that people couldn't figure it out.
But I think
Well,
though,
the issue that we're having is, and the question we're asking, is the cultural trail, is that connection going to be made by next year?
Right, I mean, this year you had an
If it's
entire block
not
under
ma-
construction.
If it's not made by next year, I don't think, I think you're gonna have the same problem. But
Regardless
if
of,
that
regardless
connection
of,
is made.
of either side.
but
Yeah.
the thing is too, is that if you have a band that has a draw, you're going to be able to get those people directed to where they should go. So even if we wanted it on the cultural trail, if it was the regular years, all those people would have found the cultural trail.
Yes, they would have.
Right. So if they're, so we can direct the traffic to finding the cultural trail if we have a bigger band that people know about.
I also think we can put signs out and.
And have guides, I'm gonna hold your hand, I'm gonna bring you to the cultural trail.
I mean, the map this year was, it was a little confusing, the one that they had. The
So,
logo.
I don't think it was meant to be a map so much as like just sort of a, where is this happening? It's happening here, more of a
And-
graphic rather than a straight ahead map.
Yeah.
But point taken.
and if you're gonna have bands that are not gonna be on the cultural trail versus the plaza, okay? If you're gonna do that, and if you're talking about having it later in the evening, you need well be talking to the senior citizen housing
Good point.
where you would be blaring to 10 p.m. versus at University Plaza. And at University Plaza, the other really good news would be if you had a really good crowd, you may find that there's not enough room at University Plaza. And I don't mind that if it's free, right? You don't have complaints from people who are paying money and say, wow, it was so crowded. And, it's the old story of having a political event, you put it better off in a small room that's packed than a huge room that's empty.
The other thing too is about University Plaza. I mean, the ultimate objective is, we want to bring people downtown to support the downtown businesses, which at that time of night is largely restaurants and bars. So why would we do it out on the cultural trail when that is a real hoof from Bulls and Bears and 28 South and Hanatai and Gastropub and everything else? That if you do it up at University Plaza, you've got everybody in that area where your businesses are.
So can we put the stage in the square like Downtown Live used to be and shut the streets down?
Or we shut down Potomac and put it in the middle of Potomac.
I mean,
That's a long time, we used to do that.
Right.
Like twice.
Remember Downtown Live when the Whalers
was
played
awesome.
here? It was awesome.
It was fantastic.
See, now that would get people.
Yes.
If you
The
could,
people are
keep
everywhere.
access to the parking decks open.
You're
Central Lot.
talking about a hugely different thing for staff. You're talking about closing down a street, you're talking about fencing in, you're talking about needing staff there versus University Plaza, which Mike Deming paid for all that stuff. That was not paid for by the city, and that was a major production. I just warn you.
In the square? Was it in the square
Hagerstown
itself?
Hoops-
It was between
Pride
the
Festival
square
used to do
and
that.
Tatum
The
Street,
Pride
that
Festival
block.
did it.
So they didn't close Washington Street?
No, but they closed.
Hagerstown Homes did it up until
Oh,
2
they did.
years ago.
Washington Street was closed for downtown.
Yeah, yes, it was, yeah.
The fence
I'm
ran,
just
the
thinking-
fence ran from Rockies the whole way to
Yeah.
Antietam Street.
Yes, exactly.
And
And the
I mean,
cost
Corner
was
in the square does.
Tremendous.
I
Yeah,
was gonna
it
s-
just doesn't work.
I mean, I would just say, where do you want to put your money? Like, do you want to put your money into fencing and
No.
staging?
That's right, first year of Blues
Or
Fest.
entertainment?
Yeah, and also, if you're gonna do that and you're talking about getting the hot weather,
Right.
Yeah.
we remember the first Blues Fest, you're talking about roasting in the square on the macadam. And also, I just hate the thought of having a University Plaza, a brand-new cultural trail, and we're gonna put our bands in the street. You have the plaza in the back.
And I think that there could be a way to encourage people to go on the cultural trail while we have the band in the University Plaza, if that's the way it goes. To whether it's contests or geocaching or something that kind of gets people involved. And the Youth Advisory Council will be starting, probably in September, I think. So maybe they can give us some really good ideas as to how to get their friends.
But it comes back to, is our objective to get people down to the businesses or to get them to the cultural trail?
But if it's from 2 to 8 or 2 to 10, we have to do both.
I don't find them, I don't find them different. I find that they are different right now because we have a block that is literally under construction, that is at the epicenter
True.
of where we're trying to connect people to. I firmly believe that 6 months from now, if we make it a priority to make that connectivity happen,
Then it's all the same.
you know, then it's one place.
the trail.
Right now, you have to use Washington to get to Potomac. I mean, I guess for me, I just have envisioned from the beginning of time, you know, you would go from basically what's Broad Axe,
To the
you
city
know,
park.
down through the plaza, then you're literally, you know, a half a block of walking to Kennedy Park, one direction. And you have these sort of plazas of green space, you know, among the places that you're trying to get people to grab something to eat or to get some form of respite, amongst where you're having the activities happening and occurring, and, you know, to the triangle, which is, you know, right before City Park. I guess that's sort of the circuit, you know, that I think would keep folks interested enough to be there. I think part of the issue is they are very secular right now, and so you have to sort of choose one, and especially if you're you know,
So far, we've decided, we sort of think we're gonna do it on Saturdays. We're gonna do it for, what, 2 months? 3 months?
I like three. I just
3 months?
I like
So
June,
do
July, and
Saturdays for
August.
3 months, and I would recommend that the question of the
And-
venue and all these things are gonna be very dependent on how fast Scott and Rodney can give us an answer. Because if we know that connectivity is not going to exist for next summer, I think it makes a difference. I think it makes a huge difference. I agree with you. I talk to people going to the plum, and you know, they need to figure out how to get there, even though they live here. And I think that connectivity makes a huge difference.
I do too.
And I think when in those 3 months is important, because I think it's to some degree psychological. I use this example, you know, we've already sort of counted the weekends we have left until school starts. You know what I mean? And so everybody's like, okay, my vacation is at the first week of August, you know what I mean? Then I got the second week, you know, the third week is really sort of like, you know, that last weekend before you go, okay, now I've got to prepare, you know, for the startup of you know, that regular process again. Just like in July, you know, when you're thinking, okay, you got your big event July 4th, you know, you want some space in between that. So you look at like the third, you know, fourth weekend of each of those months. You know, June, you're not going to get it because folks are just getting out of school. They're going to senior week and you know, getting to the ocean. I think the later in each of those months you push it, the more psychologically I think folks will.
Judy, why don't you put your thinking cap on between now and the 20th, and we'll reconvene on the 20th to see what you've come up with, and hopefully we'll have some suggestions, more suggestions from council on venue.
Is this the
I have a
name of it?
question.
And then I would just note, you know, when we're having this discussion, you're bringing up July 4th is on a Saturday this year. So, you know, that puts a whole new context in one of the weekends in July because of the fireworks.
Is the name of this thing Imagine Hagerstown Forever and Ever?
I don't know, we didn't like it the first time.
I
I
know
did.
how I feel about it.
Well, I think this year was an
Pick a
experiment.
name like a
It
Fall Out
was-
Boys song.
This was a learning, it's a learning experience.
Right.
We don't have to have the
So,
same name.
Kitty, we can rename it, that sounds like.
That's, okay. You guys named it the first time.
Not we,
Whoa.
some of us did.
Question as far as downtown businesses. Were any of them approached, like by Main Street or,
Or me,
whatever, by you?
to participate.
Okay, cool. Like,
Is that what your question is?
No, like as
Sorry.
far as, can you offer we're having an event on this night, can you maybe do 10% off a certain type of appetizer or a discount on a beer, something to try to drive business to them?
I can tell you that what I did was, I reached out to all of them before I sent out my call for looking for food vendors, saying, we're having this event, here's the dates, here's the general, template of what it's gonna look like. If you are interested in vending, let me know. You get the first crack at it, right? And this is a great opportunity for you to try, to do something special. No, I didn't walk business to business and say, do you want to do a coupon? And maybe.
Yeah, I think that's the business owner's responsibility to come up with
I know that,
ideas.
I don't.
I know that other staff members have tried that in the past, and it's, we can try again.
I just think it's easy to walk into a place and say, can you offer 50 cents off a draft beer or something during this time, or 10% off if you show you're going to Hagerstown, if you bring Imagine Hagerstown, something to try to drive.
I will say, Pretzel Pizza is a great partner. They will always vend at University Plaza because it's easy for them and it's, popular. And the Flying Camels, the other business that was out at almost every event, handing out menus and flyers and talking to people. So the other restaurants, I didn't see overtly do that.
If the art was open at that point, was it?
The art was open.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I went there. Sorry.
Okay, I'll see what I can find out from Rodney. Maybe something will shift and we'll
Thanks, Kitty.
finish it up soon. So we can book all the big name bands because they will go fast.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one thing, Mayor, I want to give a little shout out to Brian Thomas and Danny Rice in the Parks Department. There's a nice article, Tim Kelby did a nice Divots article about the quality of municipal golf course. I know it struggles financially, but I thought the good review that course got by a pretty, well, he's a Hall of Famer in Maryland golf, Tim Kelby, as to the condition of the course and the work of these guys. These guys should be commended for it. So just want to give them a shout out. That's all for me.
Sean.
Nothing tonight.
I'll make you happy and have nothing tonight.
Austin.
Nothing tonight.
Kristen. Emily.
Just hope to see everyone at National Night Out at the fairgrounds going on now.
Real quick, I met with a coalition of Chinese students and their parents this afternoon who are here visiting Hagerstown. There will be part of the group that will attend the University of Maryland in downtown for English as a second language and live at the Hamilton Hotel in the student housing provided there. Hopefully that all comes to fruition January is what they're shooting for. They're staying at 2 Airbnbs here in the area. They're touring Hagerstown. They've been to New York. They will go to Niagara Falls prior to their departure on Sunday. So they're very excited to be here, and it seems like they like Hagerstown. So with Emily, another 15 minutes. Wow, it's very electric like that. Anyway, National Night Out, Fairgrounds Park. Thank you all.